visit us tonight?
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders.
It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder.
You remember the fun we had when you poisoned me?
Soothing, isn't it?
Well, you realize, of course, that we'd have to have a body to put in that casket.
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
This is a spooky edition of the Argo City podcast with Maddie.
She's so amusing.
And Matthew.
Imbecile, bombastic ignoramus.
And we have returned with a doozy of a movie.
And so we actually got a horror movie tonight.
Yeah!
Despite the fact that it's coming out of Movie
my
Reel
box.
Boom. It absolutely... So this one is Five Nights at Freddy's Part 2.
We watched the part 1 together as well.
That was before we were doing the podcast, although if you go back a little bit, we did a web version. We did a musical version or something.
I thought we did react to this on podcast.
Not to the film. We watched a fan film.
Yeah, we watched Random Encounters version. Oh, well, I guess we didn't. Maybe that might have been like just before we started it. But we watched the first one. We reacted to it together because it had been my first time watching this one. But for this movie, I'm actually very excited. I got to see this one in theaters.
Mm-hmm. So I did not, but I'm glad you did. And I'd actually noticed that it had just hit streaming. So
yeah, I've been waiting for it to hit streaming.
And you really noticed that it had hit streaming. So
that's what we ended up watching.
Why don't you give us a rundown on what this movie is, what our plot is here, because it's you mentioned that it plays within that sandbox. It's within the lore, but it is its own thing.
Yeah, it's its own story within the story of the story, which is not going to make sense, but it does kind of make sense. Regardless, our story follows our two protagonists from the first movie. Oh man, I'm terrible with names. It was...
Well, it doesn't help that they changed the girl's name.
Well, that's the wrong girl's name. I'm talking about the younger... Abby. Abby and her older brother.
Yes. Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah.
Which is like, even again, like I'm like, we covered this last time, didn't we? That is the dude from like Journey to the Center of the Earth and Hunger Games and Bridge to Terabithia, and that is him, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Because like I remember us having this conversation, and yet I hadn't remembered that it's him, and I'm looking at him and like, wait. Look, Josh Hutcherson is one of those guys where it's like, he should be a name at this point. He really should, but he's not. Instead, what he's kind of become is, I know that guy. That's what he really is. And but he does, I think this is probably my favorite of any role I've seen him in.
Yeah. So our story... So our story follows our two characters as Abby. She is working on an invention for a science fair. And we're also going off of the trauma of the previous episode. The older brother is trying to move on, but Abby can't because she lost her friends.
And I mean, she's also, she's still a kid.
Yeah, she's like 11, I think, in this.
Brother is like, an adult and maybe has some better coping.
Yeah. And we continuously see her drawings as well, which are... I love how they use that as a plot device. But anyways, so Abby's working on her science fair project, and this story follows multiple paths, so I'm going to follow Abby's first.
Yeah.
She's working on her science fair project. She is getting pretty much like bullied by her teacher, who doesn't want her to present in the science fair.
Yeah, so Wayne Knight, this is Newman from Seinfeld. Okay, so, and it's like, you're looking confused at me. Every time he shows up on screen, I'm going, Newman! And he's playing just as big of a jerk.
Yeah. So she's working on her benches. She's getting bullied by her teacher. Her and her brother go back to the old restaurant where they find what did they call it? Like a speak aloud thing? Like
I called it like a possessed speak and spell.
Speak and spell.
Like
okay.
it for the Xers there. So imagine a speak and spell with Freddy Fazbear's face on it. This is like, okay, no Gen Xer is going to grab it, and no Gen Xer is going to allow a kid to grab a possessed speak and spell here. We're looking at this. And, like, no, this is bad news. This is like, no. I won't even have Alexa in this house, okay?
And then my phone goes off. Ding!
Yeah, as if it's, like, offended by me saying that.
And I don't even have Siri or Alexa on my phone. I think it's like Google Gemini or something, but I don't even use it. But anyways, where was I? I keep losing track of my story.
They went back to the factory to show her, okay, it's okay. Hey, let's pretend that you just won 1,000 tickets. You can take anything from the showcase. I'm also looking at this like, how is all this stuff still here? How is the speak and spell there? How are there still plushies there? Plushies that are not ruined.
Psychic friend Fred Bear, which any of my MatPat people will immediately know what that is. For those of you that are in the treks, like I am.
This place should have been picked dry, and actually, no, this place shouldn't have been picked dry. Why has nobody burned this place down?
You don't know what you just said, my friend. Oh, now do I take the chance and tell you what you mean by that? Or...
Well, no, because we watched the end credit sequence. If you didn't know there is an end credit sequence, Maddie didn't know there was an end credit sequence. We didn't discover that until tonight. So we've got another movie coming. So we probably need to put a pin in that. But nevertheless,
my God.
Nevertheless, all of my Gen X friends know exactly what I'm talking about. We would have had a Zippo lighter and a Molotov cocktail going right through that window.
I need to shut my mouth. Oh my God. I am way too much in the fandom for this. Oh my God. Anyways, we need to move past this before I spoil.
Okay, well, she brings home the haunted speak and spell.
She brings home the haunted speak and spell. It starts to talk to her, tells her that her friends need help. She goes to the new location, which has a river, which is kind of cool, but it did throw me off.
Take me to the river.
Where the marionettes will chase you into the water. She brings her back, and essentially it revolves around they're using Abby to unlock the perimeter so that the animatronics can get outside. Well, all this is happening. The new and improved
and possessed animatronics.
Well, all of this is happening. The puppet is controlling the rest of the...
Yeah, which puppet is that?
The puppet.
Yeah, marionette?
Yeah, the marionette. Or the puppet. Sorry, it also goes by the puppet.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's not any better. That's seriously not any better.
Yeah, speaking of the puppet...
We're going to come back to marionette. Let's finish the...
Oh, okay, well, so the puppet's trying to control them because the puppet... We actually learn a lot about Charlotte, or, as I was saying, the Marionette's backstory, which is different from the games, but I actually kind of like this better. It gives the Marionette much more of a reason to be killing.
A motivation, yeah.
She wants to kill the parents, because it's the parents' fault that she wasn't saved in time, and that boy almost died.
It's like the soul of a little girl who was obsessed with this animatronic. And who saw a little boy getting dragged back by Shaggy in the bear suit, and goes to rescue him. And she does. Technically, she rescues him.
And then she falls.
There's a little bit of stabby going on, but she does rescue him, and then falls into the depths of the.
We see her fall into the present where the marionette rises out of, and it's presumably from there that we see that she possesses the marionette.
So it's a good backstory in that her vengeance is what's driving the puppet.
Yeah.
What's really, it gives us a reason. It gives us a reason for this to happen.
They do, like I said, they do her fascinating, because in the games, she just dies behind the Pizzaplex, which is kind of anticlimactic. Like I said, I like this better, honestly. And, well, I'm in the theory dumps, so I've heard all the stuff. I'm a big Matt Patter. Like, I've watched all the FNAF theories. But, so I definitely know what I'm talking about when I say this. But, honestly, I mean, that kind of sums it up. We also have the side story with Vanessa and, man, I can still not remember his name. With Vanessa and PETA, who who are having this, like, off-on romance, enemies, rivals, vengeance kind of thing going on.
Like, okay, is this a date? Is it not? Watch out for the crazy eyes. And,
Crazy eyes.
but it's, yeah, but I mean, so the puppet unleashes the new and improved puppets, yes, to wreak havoc and take vengeance on all of the parents. You know what? There's a couple things that I got to say just about this.
Yeah?
Okay, so one of the things, even when the movie just began, I stopped it and I rewound, because this is also a Blumhouse movie.
Yeah.
And like, okay, no, you need to watch the Blumhouse intro.
I was making notes.
See how many things you recognize.
I recognize two things.
Look, 2 things is good. And the thing is, like, in this day and age, Blumhouse is kind of, it's the seal of quality. All right, as a horror person, I know I'm going to have a good time if I see Blumhouse.
Oh, that's good.
So, back in the day, it would be if I saw Full Moon Features. Or, more importantly, if I saw New Line Cinema. That's a nice little black square that looks like a piece of celluloid. That, New Line Cinema is, well, we always affectionately refer to it as the house that Freddy built.
Oh.
So, I knew if I'm watching New Line Cinema, yeah, I expect this to be good. I have faith in Robert Shea.
Was it good?
Most of the time stuff was. Or, yeah, I for what it was. And I think the comparison to Freddy is really interesting. Because the whole backstory for Freddy Krueger is that he was burned alive by the parents of Springfield in a lynch mob. And he returns as this demon to take his vengeance. Really, his vengeance is upon the parents of Springfield, but he does it by killing the children of Springfield. So, you know what? I said that wrong. It's Springwood. And it's Springwood because every town has a Springfield. Anyhow, that feels a lot like what the Mangle's doing. It's that vengeance. It's not just for the little girl who died. It's for all the children who died. And that vengeance is being visited upon the parents.
Yeah.
So it feels similar. You know, there's another similarity here as well. This was the most expensive project that Blumhouse ever produced at the time.
Really?
Yeah. They took a chance on this. Now, I mean, it's not that big of a chance. Five Nights at Freddy's is huge.
Yeah.
It's a name. It's known. But still.
For a movie on the game, especially for the sequel,
and in this day and age, in 2005, 2006, that's especially risky. That brings me back to New Line, because New Line actually did the same thing. Oh. They took a chance on a recognized name, but, you know, it might be unfilmable. And we're not, but we're going to take a chance and we're going to dump more money into this than ever before. Mm-hmm. And what they came out with was Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
So I feel like Blumhouse has that nice correlation. I trust them, and I get what they're doing here.
Yeah, and they do excellent with this movie. Like
they really do.
I am a frequent like lore watcher, and I am ecstatic that they are getting stuff right.
Well,
for the most part, they get things right. It's clear that they appreciate the source material,
and it helps. It's the second. Yes! It helps your second. It's your second viewing. So you're catching stuff in here all over the place that you did not catch the first time.
Legitimately, towards the ending, one of the things that I did not notice my first watch through, when Foxy is killing the Mangle, we hear the humming, which for those of you that have played the games or know the lore, that's the noise that comes when you know Foxy is running. Because the thing with Foxy in the games is that he runs. He doesn't just walk. If you see him in the hallway, unless you act fast, you are dead. So that, like, slight humming is his tell, which is just fascinating that they threw that in. The mask is such a good click. The idea, like, she mentioned in the movie that, how do I shut the doors? You don't shut the doors. You don't shut the doors in the game either. You have to shine a flashlight on them to get them to walk away, which is just, I am so happy they did it so well.
Like they've got their own take on the lore, but they're not dissing the lore either. They're so respectful of it.
Yeah. And they've, like, if I'm not mistaken, like Scott Coffin and a lot of people that know the games worked on these. So that helps as well. But
they've also made it broad enough that the casuals like me, who like, we've all heard of Five Nights at Freddy's. I haven't played the first one, but not everybody is deep into it. But there's still plenty to appeal here for just the people who are casual, or just the people who are just horror fans. One of the things I noticed close to the beginning, I loved this, was we've got this team of ghost hunters on a ghost hunting show going to investigate the old Freddy Fazbears. And can I tell you something? This has become a genre. Like, as far as horror goes, it's one of the subgenres of ghost hunting team with their own TV show goes to investigate a haunted location. Wait, it's really haunted. Oh crap! It's really haunted.
Jinx.
And I was actually kind of hoping that's what this whole thing would be, because it was a good conceit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I'm amused that our lead ghost huntress is McKenna Grace.
Yeah.
Because she ain't afraid of no ghosts. I want to see her Ghostbuster character like show up and just start blasting these guys.
I mean, depending on if it's ghosts or remnant, we don't know which one that is. I don't think we know which one the toy animatronics are.
But that brings us to the puppet, Marionette.
The puppet.
Oh, this thing! Look, I grew up in the age of Chuck E. Cheese. I went to Chuck E. Cheese for this kind of stuff. And I don't know. Maybe there's people in my generation who found it creepy. I didn't. I think that there's certain things that have been turned creepy in modern times that weren't intentionally. But I look at the Marionette, and how could this thing have ever been anything but creepy? I mean, this thing is Gangle from Amazing Digital Circus gone horribly, horribly wrong. This thing is straight out of a Hellraiser comic book. And I'm not kidding. I can think of a couple. Mask is the first one that comes to mind.
Oh.
A couple of the Cenobites that look similar to that thing. It reminds me a lot of the agents of hell that would come to Fairy to take the tithe in the Tim Hunter books of magic, just without the chains. But still, this thing is horrifying. I can't see any way that this could ever have been. You could take that mask and corrupt it and make it creepy, but that's not what we're seeing. We got a flashback to 1982, And this thing is creepy from the word go. It's horrifying.
Like, I will say, from what I am aware, there are theories that the puppet didn't have the crying tears before it was possessed. Mm-hmm. That and the puppet was only ever brought out for birthdays. At least that's how it goes in the games.
But that's not what we're seeing here. So
yeah, that's
again,
here.
I've got to dismiss the lore because all that counts for the movies, all this canon for the movie continuity is what we see. And this thing is terrifying, but I'll tell you what, it's even more terrifying once it takes on human forms and human bodies, and once it starts kind of possessing people. And and this brings us over to your big issue.
I am taking over at this point.
Because you've got a beef here.
I have one problem with this movie, and it's that. Okay, so
the puppet basically takes people and it almost inhabits them or integrates them.
Now, if we were talking about the mimic, that would be different. But that's not something that the puppet does. You can't have a soul possess an animatronic, possess a human. That's not how it works. Even lore and game stuff aside, that's not how possession works. Even if we had the puppet leave the spirit of the puppet, Charlotte, if we had Charlotte leave the puppet's body and then go into another person's body, I would be fine with that because it's the soul moving. But you can't just go on top. That's not how that works. And it irks me every single time they do it because it does not make sense.
See, now I would take this a step further, but the problem is for me to do that, we've got to go into headcanon and into theory. At one point, we see McKenna Grace's dead body. And this thing is still wandering around with her face until it takes Abby's face. And so here's my thought on that.
Yeah.
And admittedly, you're not wrong because I have to produce headcanon to justify this.
Yeah.
I don't think Charlotte was the first. I think that there was something else possessing and driving the puppet before Charlotte. And Charlotte was... I look at the puppet almost as some sort of... I'm hesitant to say vampire, but it latches on... Parasite. Parasite's the word. And it needs...
Parasite?
Yes, it needs a human to drive it. It needs a human's fears and emotion and life force to drive it. And then it takes aspects of that and integrates it into itself. So Charlotte's the first one that we see, but something demonic, something evil was already driving the puppet, and it consumes Charlotte, and Charlotte drives it until it finds someone new. That's McKenna Grace. And now her life force is driving this until it comes to Abby, because it has Abby's regrets and fears as well. Huh. And I feel like it would just go until that life force is gone, until that life force is used up, until that life force, that person's soul, is completely eaten and consumed, and it needs something else. It's going to be slow, but it will always retain echoes of that person. Echoes like the music box, echoes like the vengeance, echoes like Abby's feeling of failure.
But so how do you explain the puppet's body then before it goes and possesses people? Like,
sluggish. Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I said Charlotte's not the first. There's something else possessing this.
So do you
I think we're missing we need a prequel. We're missing the origin of the puppet. We thought Charlotte was the origin of the puppet, But I think Charlotte's not the origin. I think Charlotte is the beginning of this story, not the beginning of the puppet story.
My other question for that would just be, like, we see, like, the puppet's physical body.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain its body before it goes and possesses her? Like, are we thinking, like, it possessed some sort of demonic thing and then it used that body? Or are we thinking that it just stayed dormant in the puppet's body until it could possess another human?
It could have created innocently enough, and then something possessed it. Or,
okay, so we were kind of going on it's possessing the object itself.
Again, I'm saying that Charlotte's just not the first.
Okay.
I'm saying I feel like there's more going on there. Or, alternatively, what if the person who created the puppet was influenced by something diabolical, and they put that image into their head? I mentioned to you that I just read Grady Hendrix's How to Sell a Haunted House, and one of the conceits that there's so many puppets in that book. I mean, it's all about puppets and an old dead soul that's possessing an evil puppet. That they burned that puppet. They burned that puppet in, like, the grill, and our heroine is happy. She flies home to her young, like, 6-year-old daughter and discovers the puppet on the daughter's hand. Oh. And the daughter is speaking in the puppet's voice because the entity, the soul, fled, found her daughter, gave her daughter the image in her head, what to create, how to draw it, how to carve it, and rebirthed itself there. That's so.
Honestly, I like that answer better.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea that the puppet could have just, because, and I'll get into this later, but when a lot of the animatronics, especially all of them except for Springtrap, were co-created by Henry.
Right.
Which we actually saw that with Charlotte's dad. I don't think that's accurate, but that's besides the point. No, that is accurate. It would make sense that the daughter of a great inventor, the one who built these animatronics, would have known how to carve that, or would have had the materials, the things needed to do that.
Right.
That makes sense to me. I like that better, actually.
And I think that kind of headcanon really smooths over your objections. It makes this more enjoyable because you're right. It's not a soul possessing other souls possessing other souls. There's something, because Abby emerges unscathed.
Yeah.
Even though McKenna Grace dies. But McKenna Grace, this is where I keep coming back to, well, was that just a shallow soul and it burned out quick? Or I'm really active. I'm eating more soul food than I normally would.
Remnant.
I feel like there's more there. It opens itself up to such lore and such speculation, and I think that's where some of the fun stuff comes here.
Huh. No, that's fascinating. Huh. I'm gonna be thinking about that all night.
There's other aspects in here, though. I love when Springtrap comes up, or not Springtrap. Let me try that again. We're at 28. I love when the puppet comes up, like the gears and the whole mechanism.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Dark Castle's 13 Ghosts remake, and we see all that kind of mechanism and gears. And in 13 Ghosts, in that remake, the whole house is just a diabolical trap, a demonic, evil trap. It's a ritual, but ritual driven by machinery. And so watching the puppet come up, I get big vibes of stuff like that. And I just think all of that works.
And, even just while we're on the topic of the puppet, before we move on from that, And I just want to mention this offhandedly, but the idea of the music box is also something in the games. It's another one of those mechanics that you have to deal with. Mm-hmm. You have to keep the music box wound. It'll slowly unwind during the night. Oh,
interesting.
And if the music box becomes unwound, you're dead. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter if you have the mask. Doesn't matter if there's other animatronics about to get you. The second that music box runs out of windness, you're dead. So I thought that was interesting the way they incorporated it here. Because you got to keep him sleeping.
See, this is part of why I kind of want to watch these with you.
Yeah.
Because you understand the lore. You understand this world. This is not a world I'm real familiar with. But you'll give me that kind of stuff. And that's fun. I did see that Matthew Lillard's back. Shaggy's back for like 30 seconds. Like, what did he have, like a clause in his contract that he has to show up in the next episode, in the next movie? Well, because I really could have done without him.
You say that, but the entire line of his character is, I always come back. That is something that is repeated game after game after game. Well, he always comes back.
And he says something like that to our girl. But he's also like, I'm not done with you yet. And I'm watching this and I'm like, okay, this is cool and I get the idea. But I feel like I'd be happier if I was watching the bear do this instead of Shaggy. It's like, I'd like to see the monster doing it instead of
You want to see like Freddy going after him?
Freddy or whichever one he like will...
I mean, that would be Springtrap if we're talking about his.
Springtrap. All right. So this is where I'm saying I'm not...
Yeah.
I'd rather see Springtrap doing this than Lillard, and they could have saved the cost of him showing up. On the other hand, we're seeing him show up with Skeet Ulrich, and see, the two of them really, they made their names in Scream. They're both in the movie. They're both friends in the movie. They're both like big integral parts of that. So watching them both in this movie is okay, that's funny. That's one of those little Easter eggs. It's not for the Freddy fans, it's for the horror fans. Again, this thing is trying to be broad enough that people like me are going to also have fun with it, but they're still trying to satisfy you, the fan base. They really
do. Like, we have, oh my gosh, we got a couple of cameos in the last movie, but at least in this one in particular, we get Matt Pat again.
You'd never know it, but yeah, you do.
You'd never know it because he voices Toy Bonnie, and they pitched his voice up so high, you can't even tell. I was listening for the second time, because I had heard rumors that he was in it, and then I watched it, and I was like, I guess I just missed him. And now we're watching it again, and I'm listening for him, and I'm like, I don't hear you. Probably because they pitched up your voice to make him sound feminine or something.
Well, and,
I don't know.
And sometimes it's just for the sake of, well, we can, or to do a favor to the person. Like, I remember watching Young Guns 2 and watching for John Bon Jovi's cameo, and like, he's in there, he gets shot, his hair flies in front of his face, you never see him, but he's there, and I'll just go listen to the soundtrack. But sometimes it's like that, and it's just enough to know they're there.
Yeah. And even the end of this, they bring in the Living Tombstones to do one of their like most famous songs ever, Man Behind the Slaughter.
Explain who the Living Tombstones are.
So they're essentially they're YouTubers that do like fandom songs. Like during the age of FNAF, they were making some of the most popular ones. I believe they also wrote Five Nights at Freddy's, which is what played at the end of the first movie.
Okay.
Like, Five Nights at Freddy's. And then they did the second one, Leaving My Child Behind, which I'm not going to get into that because then I'm going to rant about lore again. But, and we don't have time. We're already like, half an hour in, and I haven't even ranted about the half the lore yet. But regardless, they're very well known. In fact, they just started going on tour around the U.S., like doing some of their songs. Yeah, they're like on official tour, which is really cool for them.
We'll have to watch out over at like the Beachland and some dives in the Cleveland area because it's exactly the sort of place that they'd probably show up at.
Oh yeah, we
like,
get a ton of
the sort of places
Cleveland.
that I would go to see Mac Sabbath or Oakley Dokley.
Passed us in Cleveland, but I'm not sure.
We'll check that and we'll get back to you on that. And then what I thought was interesting, though, too, is they're obviously setting us up for a third movie.
Yeah.
In fact, that's half of what the end credit scene is. Like, the end credit scene, I literally, while we're watching this, I complained to you, like I did earlier, how have the vultures and the scalpers and the dealers not descended upon this place and stripped it bare? And gotten all the collectibles out already. Well, you know what? They're doing it in the end credits sequence, and they're getting us ready. I mean, we get one quickie little. It's a nihilistic end, and we get one shot, glowing eyes, and so it's like, okay, there's probably something more going on, and they really set it up in the end credits. So. Obviously, you know we're going to be back here in 18 months talking about Five Nights at Freddy's 3.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. We're going to go see it in theaters if it comes out around a time we can go together. I'm going to drag you out to the theaters to see this with me.
But otherwise, is there anything else you want to jump in on before we close this out?
I was really excited when my friend and I went to go see the movie. We ended up in a theater by ourselves.
Well, and that's one of the things I was saying about the idea of putting that much money into a film that you're going to have a theatrical release in 2025, 2026.
Yeah.
Because we frequently see these empty theaters.
I also
but then
went
again,
on a weekday at night. So we went at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. So that's also probably why.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
But a whole theater to ourselves where we could yell and scream because my friend, she hates horror movies. So we were yelling and screaming and jumping together. It was wonderful. And nobody could tell us to shut up because it was just us. I definitely think that that's a great way to end this episode, though.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to be back next week with a little something different. Until then, keep an eye out in the shadows. Make sure there's no glowing eyes. Make sure there's nothing moving.
Oh, great. Don't make me paranoid. But we will see you guys next week with something out of the movie out of the movie Box of Doom.
Yeah.
Bye.
What's that?
Oh my god, you scared the crap out of me.